Kelly, you were just 14 years old when you met Michael Dunn. What was your life like at that time, and what did he mean to you when you met him and you developed this friendship?
Life wasn't good for me at home at that point, and when I first met him, he seemed like a friend that could help.
And what was life like to start with him? Was he kind to you?
Yeah, he was a lovely person at first. If I needed anything like clothes, my hair doing, anything, he always made sure I had everything that I always needed.
And that was something maybe you weren't used to, so somebody was being kind, spending money on you, so that was a good feeling.
Yes.
When did it start to change?
When I actually ended up moving in with him, because I started to see what the type of person he was when he started touching me. Even though I said no, he still did it anyway, and bad-tempered, aggressive.
So he almost groomed you, in a way?
Yeah, it was awful. He told me he loved me and that he was going to marry me and that all my dreams had come true and I'd do everything in life I wanted to do, which never happened.
What were the kinds of things that he would put you through?
Well, with him drinking, he'd shout, he'd become aggressive. He went through mental, physical abuse with him. He used to hit me, rape me often enough, or even him raising his voice was enough to put the fear of God in me.
Is that why you stayed?
I stayed through fear.
How often, Kelly, was he sexually abusing you?
At first, he didn't do it that often, but it just progressed. It could be weekly, it could be monthly. It depends on what mood he was in at the time.
And when you asked him to stop?
He never stopped. He'd say no, and no wasn't no with him. He didn't know the meaning of the word no.
He did used to hide you away when people came to the house, including the police, who were at some point looking for you.
Yeah.
Tell us about where he used to hide you.
He'd knocked a hole through in the kitchen that he put a board up against. And when the police came round, because he had CCTV in the house and all around the premises, he could see when they were coming. So I was then put in the hole with the board over until the police left. It was cold, damp, dark, and very small.
And so when you were in that hole and you could hear the police voices talking to him, asking if he'd seen you, what was going through your mind then?
Just hoping one of them would move the board. There was an occasion where one of them put the hand on the board, but he spoke to them and sidetracked them, so the board never got moved.
This abuse, people will be very shocked to know, went on for 21 years. You were involved with this man, and that you weren't kept a prisoner in the home. You were going out, but you say you were a prisoner, really. What did he used to do when he allowed you out? Why were you so frightened that you still couldn't tell anybody what was happening to you?
When I went out, I always had to have somebody with me. I wasn't allowed to go out on my own. To the point, before mobile phones were invented, we had a walkie-talkie, so I could be in a shop for bread and milk, and he'd be asking what was taking so long.
Did you ever feel like, when you were out, just screaming out loud or saying to somebody, please help me? Why didn't you try and run at that point?
Because he knew what he'd do if you did.
You had a child with him?
Yeah.
So he would have your child in the house at the time that you were going out of the house to shop. So I'm assuming that you felt that you couldn't speak out because...
For the little one that was in the house at the time, yeah. It was just fear.
What changed, Kelly? What made you one day say, no, I can't be here anymore? What gave you the strength to do that?
I'd had enough. I just lost it in the end. A few years prior to actually bucking up the courage to get out, I tried committing suicide. And if it wasn't for my child's text, I wouldn't be here today.
What was it that your daughter said that was so poignant to you?
Basically, she reminded me of her and that she needs me, regardless. And that was enough that I picked up the phone and asked for help.
And you got that help?
Yeah.
You were not Michael Dunn's only victim.
No.
There was other abuse. He was convicted of 10 rapes, 3 counts of false imprisonment, and 3 of indecent assault. And in March, he was sentenced to 27 years in jail. One of his victims was just 10 years old. What did you think of that 27-year sentence?
I'm just glad he's locked away and that he can't hurt anybody else. I couldn't see anybody else going through what I went through and what the other victims went through. It's not fair.
How do you cope with the aftermath of events like that?
Well, my new partner, for one, the moral support I'm getting from him and his family. Then, obviously, I've got my own family. Then I've got counselling that I go to. Now I've finally got myself in college. I've finally passed me level 1 in mathematics and I'm doing my level 1 in English. So I'm getting somewhere in life.
Those are fantastic achievements, though,
It's
Kelly,
inspiring.
for everything you've been through. How has it left you feeling about love and relationships?
I now know the true meaning of love and what love actually is.